I'm about 13 inches here and about 19 inches here. Don't mind the giant hole. My best guess, there was a taproot from a pine tree that was here and it probably rotted. I'll most likely keep digging out all of that organic matter. I'll fill it either with concrete or with gravel. I could pack it back in with some clay, but I'm actually going to hold on to this clay. I'm going to need it for backfilling and grading around the building when it's done. So yeah, one side down. That excavator's looking pretty good right now. Almost that time. So basically I am pulling blocks. I bought about 25 blocks today, not even close to what I need. It's taking me a while to dig these footers. I know eventually I'm going to need these, so I'm just stockpiling them every single time I come to the farm. Stop by my local big box store, for me it was Lowe's, and pick up a handful of these, and then I'll just start stockpiling them, and then eventually I'll have enough and I just won't have to worry about it. All right, somebody's skipping gym day. Oh man, it's been a day. I have my 12 inches of depth that I need for footers here, all the way to this point here where it drops, and it's deeper here, but obviously it gets more and more shallow, and then it's 12 inches over there. So this is just going to be a step up. I'll most likely use as much of this dirt as I can to kind of backfill and grade up, but I guess we'll just see how that works when that time comes. All of this is really being done with just a handful of tools. I got a level that I'm using as I move along the path, and then I double check my work with a line and a bubble level, a line level, but that framing level really helps me just keep working without having to string up the string again and check, and you know, so it really does help, and it's shockingly accurate. It's a new day, people. It's windy and chilly today, but work doesn't stop. Strings are up and they're level. I measured it out and it's beautifully square. I went ahead and measured my diagonals. Obviously all my step downs, or so I don't have to dig as much, because this is, I don't have to tell you, this is some back-breaking work. You know, this is some hard soil. When you dig into it and it shines, that's the good stuff. It is a nasty, sticky, wet mess out here. It just rained recently and I'm still out here working on these footers. I have little pieces of rebar that I've cut and I'm leveling them out. I have a string line, and the string line is technically level, but I'm kind of off by about a ½ inch. First, let me get these unloaded. So far, I have all of this here. Doing these footers piece by piece, it's kind of a pain. This is what you do when you don't have water. I don't have a big IBC tote. I don't have a trailer that can carry 2 tons of water. So I'm just gonna have to do it piece by piece. Okay, so what I've done here is I've positioned this block vertically to align with my square lines. Now that that block is in position, I know exactly where I need to put my vertical rebar. This might be overkill. There's plenty of guys out there who can just, you know, lick their thumb and stick it in the air and they know exactly where it goes. I'm not a mason, so this is my way of really just double checking my work. So now I can put it exactly in the center, and I know at least my corner pieces are gonna line up where they need to. Now, I admit these pieces of rebar, they don't seem to be sticking up out of the ground very far. But keep in mind, we're on the high side now. On the low side, they're sticking up considerably, maybe 19, 20 inches or so. But my goal is to have this vertical rebar come up just into the top block, the top run. And then that way it's gonna tie in the whole vertical column as best as it can, and it's still going to leave me some headroom so that I can stick in the J-hook. I'll see you guys in a little bit. To be perfectly honest, I'm a little nervous. And that is why I like to say that what I'm doing right now is not a how-to video. It is how I do video. Just digging this, I think I took a year off my life. I only use the 50-pound bags. Honestly, I see a lot of people, especially on YouTube, I see a lot of people grabbing the 80-pound bags. It's not worth it, man. It's a fraction of a penny. It's like 0.01 cents or something. So like, you'd have to get like 100 bags to have that 180-pound bag pay for itself, which I guess, yeah, good for you, brother. You saved like $5. I wonder what the medical bill costs for your back when you're done with that job. Let me show you what I've done. So I've got my corner set here and over there, and right here. My ends are cleaned up so that I can start setting up the next run of blocks on either side. I went ahead and cleaned up these joints just because I'm not going to be here and they're going to set up soon. But this might be the first and last wall I ever build. The first course is definitely going to be the hardest. I can see that. It's the one that's got the most undulations with the footer because, you know, I was pouring it in different sets and just kind of leveling as I go, and so I'm sure it kind of waves a little. I'm hoping that once I finish that first row, I'll be good to go. Look at them, trying to come after me. You know it's warming up when the ticks start coming out. I don't like them. I don't like them. So this side and the other side are done, but this is the back wall that is left to be done. And I'm gonna have to do 2 courses back here, at least to get level with the rest of the wall. Now once I get to that point, that's when decision time is gonna come in. Do I add another course? Do I stick with what I have? Unfortunately, I'm leaning towards adding another course. That might add, I don't know, another 500 bucks or something to this project. I haven't really done the math on what a full course is going to cost in terms of mortar and block and all that kind of stuff, but it can add up quick. Plus, that's more that you have to core fill later. It adds up. this whole back wall is in. I still need to go clean up the joints a little bit, tuck them in, but that's pretty much it. And then I'm using some extra mortar that I had left over to just kind of fill some of the gaps in on this side. And I still have some more to fill over here, you can see like that, but I'll do that next time. The sun's setting, and I believe it's time to go home. So this is the best I can do. I just need to work it into the corners and get those air bubbles out to ensure that this concrete is as solid as possible. And then that guy can disappear. All right, let's keep going. So I used about a 4x4 piece to make it all the way across this long stretch here, which is good. That tells me I probably have enough to make it all the way around. The reason why this is stretching so far is, keep in mind, I only had to dig 12 inches down, plus, you know, an 8-inch footer. There really isn't a whole lot. It's only about 8 inches to the finished soil here. And then finished grade back there is a little bit more. It's probably closer to about 16 inches in the far back. Either way, I'm going to go ahead and start backfilling with what I have, and then I'll just kind of do it one piece at a time, because the way these clouds are looking, I just don't know. So I haven't completely backfilled it yet. I just put a little bit of dirt, just enough to pin the styrofoam up against the block. And then I'm going to backfill all the way. There's a lot more dirt down there, obviously, because I dug a lot more out. But that just gives me more dirt to backfill to hopefully get a relatively even grade here. It was cooler when I was digging these trenches, and it was hard work. But this is just draining. I can't even sit on my truck bed because it's too hot. Burns my butt. Let's get back to work. I'm gonna keep going at this, and it's gonna be rinse and repeat from here on out. Just gonna keep doing my ends first, and then I'll do my other boards that sort of inset into those. But I need to set my exterior boards first so that I have reference points. What I ended up doing was actually framing 4 foot on center. It's not going to stay that way. What I'm going to end up doing is coming back and filling in the intermediate studs, because I am framing 2x6s 24-inch on center here. That took out, in this, about 12-foot span, I took out about 3 boards, which is somewhere in the ballpark of about 150 pounds, because these boards are soaking wet. That's about as good as I can get. Eventually, when I'm done with the walls, I'll slowly start taking these off, because I'll have a little bit more rigidity, and I'll start putting sheathing. And I'll take it off one piece at a time, put the sheathing on, take the next piece off, put the sheathing on. We're just not there yet. We're far from it. We still have all the rest of the building to do. I might be overbuilding this. 10-foot high walls. It made sense at the time, because I'm like, hey, I want to have a door so I can fit a tractor or something in here. This feels big. This feels really big. And by the time the roof gets on there, it's probably going to be around 15 feet at the peak. I don't even know how I'm going to build the roof yet. I'm a little worried. just a little bit. So this board has been sitting here for a few weeks, and this is why I'm using pressure treated for this entire build. No, that's not a hole from a bolt or a big nail or something. Pretty sure that's a carpenter bee. Now, luckily, I'm only using this board for some offcuts and scrap, blocking and whatever, so I'm going to be chopping it up into smaller pieces anyway. But it goes to show, it helps to use pressure treated. It's no guarantees, but it's a little bit cheaper, and it's better when you're building projects that are going to be sitting outdoors. Can't do it. I gotta go home. It's only 10:30. It's 106 degrees and there's not a cloud in the sky. I can't do it. I built a second small wall the other side of the door entrance. I didn't even have it in me to stand it up. I'll do that next time. one more section of glazing wall to do right over there that's about this same length. It's going to be 2 more openings, and we're going to have all 4 walls stood up, and it's going to be time to start putting some sheathing on here. It's about time. It's about time. Compressor is all pumped up. Blue Eddy is charged and ready to go. Most of my tools are ready to go. I've got some 4x4s here. I have to build that one out there, and I just finished grading this and it was full of ants. So yeah. The headers are all up, and then if you follow all the way around, yeah, buddy, we got a header. And let me tell you, that was not easy. Now, sometimes I feel like the setup takes most of my time out here. All right, anyways, I've got a handful of some old decking screws, some roofing nails, some random things. The reason why, I'm going to use these to tack the foam onto the studs. Keep in mind, the foam is not the structural part, the sheathing is the structural part. I just need something to hold it there while I mess around with the sheathing. So now this poly sheet is pushed up against the studs. The sheathing is going to come down and sit over top of the sill plate, and then obviously nail into that. You want to have about an 1/8 inch gap between this stuff because it's going to get wet, dry, it's going to swell, shrink, it's going to want to warp and twist, you know, and so you want to make sure that you allow the wood to do that naturally. And if these things are butted up against each other, they're just going to push until something buckles or chips or pops out. You're better off just leaving a little bit of space. You can fill the space with taping if you like. We might do that, we'll see. Keep in mind, behind that, I have styrofoam, so there is no open gap to the other side. Here, let me show you. This piece continues on through here, and there is foam up behind this. I don't think I can show it to you, but it's definitely back there. I'm going to take you on a quick tour around, show you what I got done. I still have a little bit more to do, but I figure this is a good time to just stop, take a water break, and show you how the progress is going. So first of all, I've been ripping these because I have about a 2-foot buffer up at the top of the building that I need to fill. Because I have 10-foot walls, 2 courses of sheathing puts me up at 8 feet, and then I have 2 feet to the top of that top plate. I still have to do that 2 foot all the way across, and then here obviously I'll have to cut the sheathing out to fit that opening. But most of the work recently has been getting done on the back walls. So this guy is screwed in, haven't nailed anything in yet. I'm still screwing in. And I am working on this last piece over here, which you can tell that little French cleat is coming in clutch. That's not going anywhere. Hopefully you guys can still see me. Ah, how's she look, fellas? How does she look? Beautiful. And I was kind of worried about the shadows from all of this material up here, but I don't know. I think it's going to be okay. This is the nice thing about using this mobile microphone, so that I don't have to be in front of the camera all the time. Come on. I made this cross brace just a little bit too low, because then it makes it difficult for me to get in here. And up we go. All right. All right, I'm gonna move the ladder, bring another sheet, rinse and repeat. I'll see you guys in a little bit. All right, we're good. Up the ladder, down the ladder, up the ladder, down the ladder. Well guys, the sun is setting, and I might be done for today, as promised. I am not showing you me crab walking, fearing for my life up on the roof, but I'll show you the progress. Okay, so the last gable is up, nailed and taped on both sides. I still have to fill in the ridge, but I do have a couple of the boards up there to finish that roof. So we're getting there. We've got an 8-foot length here, and then obviously I have pretty much this entire side here on the glazing side. These are mostly some leftover screws and some scrap offcuts that I've cut to size. I'm trying to cut a few costs here. Really, I could put a 2x6 ledger up at the top at the eave, and that will give me something nice to nail this into, but these are so small, I don't really need a whole lot of support. And even still, I'm gonna put some Simpson straps over top of these to give them extra support and not just the toenails. So the amount of actual eave is gonna be maybe 10 inches. All right, we're good now. Yeah, I don't know if anything's gonna happen today, guys. I can see I've got a little bit more grading to do here. I don't like the idea of that water sitting there. It is raining really hard and it is draining out though. So I doubt this water would sit for very long. But I do have a little bit of extra dirt that I can use to raise the grade just a little bit. I bet the time lapse on this is gonna look super easy. You could do it in 30 seconds or less. I'm gonna go grab a razor blade and just cut off the scraps that are left over, then we can get started on the next job. Okay, I need to, before I keep caulking and taping and all that stuff, I have to finish. There's a little strip of boards that need to go here to finish this up, because I'm gonna have 8 feet of polycarbonate of the glazing, but that's going to leave me probably a couple of feet here that I need to fill in, and that way I can make the roof nice and even and everything's going to flush out nicely. So that's the plan. Okay, everything is taped up here. It looks really good. I still need to nail the very, very bottom. I wasn't brave enough to get that close to the edge, so I'll do that with a ladder from the ground. And obviously you can see I left a lot hanging over because I still need to do the rakes at the end of the gables. But other than that, at least one side is completely dried in. Caulk taped underlayment. Do I even need to put roofing on this thing? Guys, it's getting really late, but I'm getting into a real rhythm here. It's looking good. It's looking real good. Just gotta keep on going. So this is where we're at right now. The backside is, I would say, done. I still have to finish the ridge on this side. I've got a little bit more to do here just before we transition to the polycarbonate. And I have to cut off all of these long ends here to finish this up. I also have a few long ends on the back side that I need to cut off so that they're all flush and ready for any trim work. So it's all done. Everything is trimmed out, and technically it's all ready for metal roofing. It's ready for the polycarbonate. I'm nervous, guys. Wish me luck. I'm gonna take care of these wasps while I still remember about them, and I don't just get so busy that I end up on the roof sticking my hand under there again. So wish me luck. I don't know, I think I just made them mad. I have these panels inside the building. They're not even safe inside the building. They get crapped on. Okay, this is better. It's not perfect. I just, I had to hammer it, obviously cut it shorter, and then I used a little bit of the overhang and hammered that down to act like gable edging. And, it leaves it all lumpy because I don't have a metal bender or whatever, but, it'll work. Oh man, it has been a day. The sun is setting. This is by far, it's been definitely one of the most complicated and weird and not perfect installations I've done. This is really only the second metal roofing installation I've done. The first one being on the chicken coop. So for what it is, I'm happy. I don't think it's going to leak. Everything seems solid, but obviously not having the right tools makes things difficult. And there's hammer marks, and I had to paint over things, and one side's not quite like the other, and I'm sure there's a lot of little tips and tricks and measurements and stuff, but it came together. I'm happy with it. It's not perfect, and I like things to be perfect, but I understand that you're not going to get perfect the second time you do something this complicated and dangerous. Let me bring you guys in closer before I start doing this. I still don't know if it's the right decision, but I'm going to go ahead with this color. And here's the reason why. If you really soak the wood, once it dries, it actually kind of darkened up a little bit because I think it soaked deeper into the grain. I'm hoping to get a color like this. I don't know that I will, because this is literally I was using as my stir stick. We're going to try it. I'm going to give this guy another good shake, and then we'll go apply this. But yes, I'm giving it one more shot on the final product. So these 1x4 boards that I picked up, these I'm going to use as the stops for the polycarbonate that is going to be the windows for the greenhouse. So this is the first step into cutting a hole into the greenhouse. I just don't want to do it now. Man, that was a pain. I got one more sheet to go to finish this up, and let me kind of try to turn this, maybe, just to give you an idea of what it's looking like. Now, granted, I only have a few of them stained right there. Those guys are stained. It's hard to, it's backwards. I'm looking at it backwards from what you see, so it's hard to point at the camera, but you can see which ones are slightly different color. Those have already been stained. I just haven't had time to come out here because I'm losing daylight very quickly, and so the amount of time I can spend out here is very little. So I'm just gonna put it up. It's not ideal, it's not what I wanted, but I'll put it up. Maybe I'll do this wall, maybe try to stain it upright, see how it works out. I'm probably gonna hate it. If I do, then the rest of the other 3 walls, I'll stain the boards before I cut them. Messing up my mojo. I still have the back to do. I'm going to leave that for another day. The back wall here is almost mostly done, at least the main part here. I have not done below, as you can tell, and I haven't done below on any of the walls, and I haven't done above on any of the gables because I need to get the soffits filled in, which was really the mistake that I made. I'm feeling good about all of this. We're starting to really cover this thing in. It is very much dried in, I'll say, other than the giant gaping hole here, the big 10 by 10 hole that still needs to be filled in. But overall, we're doing really good. Perfect. Oh, this hurts so much. No turning back now. This little masonry broom, hopefully you can hear me over all that. This thing's been really helpful. I've used it for brushing off stuff like this, keeping materials clean before staining. Obviously I used it when I was brushing all the masonry. It's turned out to be a lot more useful than I would have imagined. I've always just kind of kept it in the truck with me, and I pull it out more often than I thought I would. All right. Next. You might start to notice what I'm trying to do here. So I have the siding, I have the furring strips behind this, I have the house wrap behind that as well, and I'm having to cover all of that so that when I go to trim it out, this is just a scrap piece, but when I go to trim it out, I'm going to trim it flush to this. All right, I'm going to keep at it. Oh yeah, much better. We're trimmed out, guys. We're trimmed out. I hope this works. I got a giant hole in my brand new building. Let's fill it in. It was a little touch and go for a little bit because the wind keeps picking up and down, and I'm trying to hold this thing and I'm reaching for tools, and I have to have everything pre-cut and ready to go. And so it's, yeah, it was a little touch and go, but we got it up. Just something to keep in mind. I may have mentioned it when I was putting the polycarbonate on the roof, but you got to make sure that you put the UV protected side on the outside. What I end up doing is when I peel the plastic off, I kind of just leave a little piece of the plastic that has the sticker. Just as a reminder, because if you get in the zone and you start flipping things around and turning it, and you start to forget, because I can't really tell a difference between the UV protected side and the unprotected side. Looks good so far. It's gonna look even better once I trim it out and stuff and all the windows are in, but it's coming together. I'm gonna keep plugging away at this. Hopefully next time I see you, I'm gonna be done with this. We'll see. All right, with that, guys, I hope you're enjoying this stuff. I'm enjoying being out here. I think I'll enjoy it a little more once it's done. I've been working on this thing for a year. It's getting, I'm tired. Man, everything's just been going wrong today. Put my sweater back on. I'm kind of chilly. I was getting down to the bottom of the barrel on the stain, and now it looks like crap. So I had to go buy another can of stain. Hopefully I can sand this stuff off and get at least remotely close to the color. I really hope this door fits. Finally, something working for me. Now that I take the shims out, it should swing pretty freely. A door inside a door. Have you ever seen this before? Other than a dog door. Normally they call these man doors or person doors. I don't know. I don't want to open a 10-foot door to step inside the greenhouse, especially during the cold season when I'm trying to keep that heat in. I think this officially means I'm done. I feel like the dog that caught the car. What do I do now? What's my meaning in life?
I got nowhere else to go!
I've been doing this for a year. I've been working on this greenhouse. Again, building is done. We got doors, we got locks, we got windows, we got a roof. Feels good, man. Feels good. All right. Well, if I haven't said it yet, thanks for sticking it out through this whole year, and there's more to come, I'm sure. Be good. I'll see you on the next one. Let me not forget my key. That wouldn't be good.